As a parent, I can honestly say that the thought of losing my child in a crowded area is one of the most terrifying things that can come to mind. Add on to that in this time of fear and stress, that for one reason or another, you would end up being to blame for your child going missing, or worse, accused of fabricating the situation to cover up some nefarious action. This was the situation Duana Wiggins found herself in after a trip to a local shopping mall with her son, Duwan Sims, back in 1994. Today, we reopen the file and try to piece back together what evidence we have from that day. I'm your host, Kevin, and this is Crime Chronicle. Today we find ourselves in Livonia, Michigan. Although not much snow has touched the ground yet, it is still a cold winter day. With Christmas fast approaching, the Wonderland Mall was no doubt filled with shoppers attempting to cross the last few items off their Christmas lists for those few family and friends that are often difficult to shop for. No doubt many parents were also trying to find the newest games for their children, and with games like Final Fantasy III, Donkey Kong Country, and Super Metroid having released in the months prior, they surely had some great titles to pick from. It was here on December 11th, 1994, where we meet today's subjects. Duana Wiggins, at the time Duana Harris, and her son Duwan Sims. While they were at the mall for the same reasons as everyone else that day, this would be anything but a productive trip. Duana was walking through the mall with her son in the direction of the Target store at around 2:30 p.m., when during their walk, Duwan suddenly vanished. Duana was naturally distraught by her son's disappearance and attempted to search for him before escalating the search with authorities. Sadly though, no clues or evidence to what happened to young Duwan were turned up. Here's where things in the case take a turn though. Police began questioning people who were at the mall, as well as checking the mall's security camera footage. What they found simply did not make any sense with what Duana had reported to them. Duwan wasn't in any of the recordings the cameras had for that day, something that should be highly unlikely, if not impossible, for how they were positioned, as well as the route that Duana claimed they took through the mall. But on top of that, none of the witnesses questioned remembered seeing the boy with her, and they were adamant that Duana hadn't even arrived at the mall until 3:30 p.m., an hour after what Duana had claimed was the time Duwan disappeared. Suspicion immediately fell upon Duana, and investigators administered 2 polygraph tests to her, both of which failed. Now, it's important to note here that a polygraph is not the most reliable piece of technology. It's for that reason the polygraph results are inadmissible in court. They are just as likely to condemn an innocent person as they are to confirm a criminal. Authorities then stated they did not believe Duana and her story and thought Duwan never even entered the Wonderland Mall on the day he disappeared. No witnesses saw him there, and he did not show up on any of the cameras after all, though witnesses could confirm that Duana was at the mall that day. From that day forth, Duana was considered a suspect in her own son's disappearance, though she never faced charges due to a lack of evidence. Duana has maintained her innocence and even sought therapy in 1995 in order to deal with the mental toll of her son vanishing. Something I imagine she must have had a hard time dealing with, as in 1996 she was jailed for threatening her then-husband with kitchen knives when he did not take the couple's then 5-month-old child with him on a shopping trip with his older child. The Wonderland Mall, where Duwan supposedly vanished according to his mother, was eventually closed and demolished in the early 2000s, and with that brought new interest and trepidation from investigators and the public. Nothing ever came of it, however, as though Duwan really never passed through those doors. On December 11th, 2019, the 25th anniversary of Duwan's disappearance, a man entered the Livonia Police Department claiming to be the missing boy. The man's name was Mike Cash, and he was the right age to be Duwan. The possibility of Dewan suddenly turning up, and alive no less, sent shockwaves through the department. Captain Ronald Tague, who had been working on the case since the case was brought to him in 1994, was flabbergasted, but the department still collected a DNA sample from Cash in order to compare it to the samples from Dewan's parents that were in evidence. Now, I, for one, do think that Cash genuinely believed that he was Dewan. He really stood to gain nothing from the boy's parents and seemed to just be trying to fill a void in his life. That's not saying some of his behavior in the months after his DNA was taken wasn't a bit unusual. One example was his claim to police that he did not want any of his information given out to the media, but then publicly posting about the case and his involvement on his social media. Now, personally, I can kind of give the guy a bit of a pass on that, as I do encounter and work with far too many people that just legitimately don't have a clue how social media works, and he did delete most of his posts soon after. Mike was brought into contact with Dewan Wiggins, who proceeded to ask Mike questions that Dewan should know the answers to, like his birthday, and identifying features like birthmarks. Cash was not able to answer those questions. Local 4, one of the media outlets covering the Dewan Sims case at the time, mentioned in a report that prior to their phone call, Cash had attempted to reach out to Dewan through Facebook, and that she blocked him. Dewan Wiggins passed away on December 7th, 2020, taking what Livonia police believe were all the answers to this case with her. She died 4 days short of the 26th anniversary of Dewan's disappearance. In June of 2021, the results of the DNA test to compare the sample provided by Mike Cash with the samples from each of Dewan's parents were finally revealed, and unfortunately, no match was found. Over the years, a number of strange things happened alongside this case, which unfortunately never really amounted to anything. Dewan claimed the police were being hyper-fixated on her due to the, at the time, very recent Susan Smith case, where a young mother drowned her 2 children, then claimed they were abducted by a black man who stole her vehicle during a carjacking. This was soon proven to be a lie, and once the vehicle was found and the evidence examined, Susan was put away for a very long time. In fact, she's up for parole sometime within the next year, so have fun sleeping with that fact rolling through your head. Shortly before Dewan's disappearance, his grandmother took out a life insurance policy on him. When she was questioned about this, she claimed it was for Dewan to be able to pay for college. Now, this sounded absolutely bizarre to me, but after some quick searches, I can confirm that this is something people actually do. It turns out that life insurance policies that carry a cash balance allow consumers to withdraw up to the amount paid in premiums tax-free, or to take out a policy loan to cover the costs of a college education. So, the more you know, though I doubt I would have wanted to go that route to pay for classes. Sometime back, a true crime podcast called True Crime Garage did an interview with a security guard that was working at the mall on the day of Dewan's disappearance. He claimed to have been in the booth checking the cameras with Dewan, trying to locate the mother and son. He further went on to say that Dewan located what appeared to be a woman and son, claiming that was her and Dewan, even though for one, they were not in the part of the mall Dewan claimed they'd traveled through, and for two, the woman was clearly wearing completely different clothing to what Dewan was wearing, and the incident would have happened just a couple hours prior, and Dewan was claiming to have not left the mall at all. Over the years, numerous tips and leads have been given to investigators. None of them have produced a shred of evidence to point to what really happened to Dewan. Of course, numerous theories have been made as to what happened to Dewan Sims. They range from either being sold to another family or someone with sinister intentions, to being accidentally killed in a misguided attempt to hurt the boy's father. the majority have the common element of Joanna being responsible. It is worth noting that Joanna herself claimed to have been in contact with investigators fairly regularly over the years, though many of those same investigators say otherwise. We may never truly know what happened to Dewan Sims. Someone out there knows, and we can only hope that person may eventually come forward. If you have any information on the whereabouts of Dewan Sims, please contact the Livonia Police Department. Thank you for making it to the end of the video. I realize this must have been a harder one to get through, but I very much value your support. If you appreciate what I do here and would like to support me, then please hit that like button. If you would like to help my channel grow and stay up to date on all my future uploads, then please consider subscribing to the channel. And if you'd like to be notified whenever all my videos go live, then please go ahead and tap that bell and turn on all notifications. I post new cases, mysteries, and sometime hopefully in the future, creepy internet horror stories on a monthly basis. Lately it's been more bi-weekly. I would love to be able to post videos weekly, but my current schedule doesn't really allow for it. So please remember to like, comment, and share so the YouTube gods don't end up burying my channel into oblivion. And that's all I really have for you guys today. I have been your host, Kevin. This has been Crime Chronicle. I'll see you guys in the next video. Stay safe out there.